Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another morning coffee or tea, or as we've been making it, basically a therapy session for about a month now for Liverpool supporters worldwide. If you need to get on the couch, if you need to vent, if you need to try to find something else to talk about, because I have a feeling we're going to argue about Liverpool, get angry in our heads, and then probably just fight to find other topics to talk about other than the League Cup exit. Slot's press conference today, which has been kind of a hodgepodge of how to and how not to handle the media in England when things are tough, in my opinion. And I'll speak for myself on that. And then, of course, we will preview the Villa match and talk a little bit about the selection and kind of the purpose, how we got here, and is there a way forward out of it? But before we do that, Cozzy, I'm not going to ask you how you're doing because I know you live and die daily with this football club, and I was with you for the United match, so I know we thought we were basically at rock bottom as Harry Maguire celebrated that header. Like it felt like we could be there, losing a home match to a poor United side who has since won again. So that freak out in Ireland is probably a week or two away from finally getting his haircut. He probably says to himself, I wish we could play Liverpool every week. I'd look like Arne Slot by the time we get to 2 weeks from now. But how are you this morning? How are you hanging in there? We'll start therapy with you.
No, I'm good, mate. Listen, I suppose there's bigger things to worry about in this world, but my God, they don't have to make it hard for you, don't they?
Well, I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be the thing that allows me not worry about, to give me a 2-hour respite 3 times a week from the bigger things in this world. Because to be fair, all of last year and for 5 years ahead of it, I'd say the better part of 5 years. I think the last 5 years of Klopp, 6 years of Klopp were really the high ones, right? The first 2 or 3, we were betting in, we were rebuilding. I mean, people have to remember he had to roll out Ricky Lambert in his first season at times. So it's a big difference in where we're at and what this squad is like. But we are going to talk about the squad. I will say, for those of you that are on the stream right now, if you could, please give the stream a like, subscribe to the page if you haven't already. If you are a glutton for punishment and want to get together with other people and talk about this woeful side at this moment, you can get in the comments as well. We would love to see them this morning. We're going to try to stay semi-positive and figure out ways to talk about the side and where we're at and why things are happening. We do disagree a bit, which is fine. That's good. That's how supporters should be on these types of shows, when everyone gets along and agrees. It's never any good. I will tell everyone, of all the people on these shows, Cozzy and I have some of the biggest opinions, agree a lot and disagree a lot. We're probably the 2 people who yell at each other, fight the most, and still like bust balls and start laughing 5 minutes later because we don't take it too seriously. So we are going to let's talk about the lineup. Alan, good morning to you as well. I do want to talk about the manager's decision at the midweek in the League Cup. So let's take who we put in the lineup out to start, Cozzy, and talk more about the competition in itself. Like, I have been a supporter of I've always been a supporter of going for this competition when you have the squad for it. It doesn't really bother me. I will say, at first, when I saw that lineup, I thought, couldn't we have gotten a few more guys with a few more minutes into their legs, build some confidence? But I did do the flip side and think to myself, like, if I was weighing the upside downside and I knew I had to rotate some players, would a loss against Palace or a win against Palace have meant the Villa match was any different when it came to a pressure standpoint? And I don't honestly believe it would. What I do think it would have done was change the preparation for the Villa match. Yeah. When we start talking about the amount of time in between days and matches and what they do. And I genuinely, I think the manager made the right decision. I will go on record as saying that. I think he made the right decision with how he went about it. I do think there's a world where it would have been different. But before we get into why I think it was the right decision, what was your thoughts, not just in the immediate when you saw the lineup drop, but 48 hours later preparing for the Villa match, and what you've heard, what you've seen, and just kind of how it's marinated in your own head?
Yeah, I mean, probably at the time, I was very much, let's just judge him at the end, because I always think when you judge a lineup, the team can make you look very stupid 90 minutes later if they go out and win the game, and then they can make you look like an idiot. I don't like kind of throwing competitions in effect. He's kind of made the decision that Liverpool were never going to win this game. Let's be frank, because the bench was telling you that he wasn't making players on the bench who can kind of come on. And I understand his reasoning of why he did it. I get it. I completely understand your reasoning, and that's sometimes I want from a manager. I want to understand what you're thinking, whether I agree with it or not. I just want to understand your point of view, and I understand his point of view. I don't like he sent kids out like lambs to slaughter, and I don't like that. I don't like Keenan Morrison basically playing out of position on the right hand side. Who, yeah, you can say he's played for Liverpool, but might never play again. The kid Lucky, for example, gets a game, and it's nice for these kids to get a game, but they're not really learning anything there, are they? You know what I mean? They're not really learning anything in terms of, we're playing with the main lads and stuff like that. So I get that. I'm really frustrated in that part. I get why the manager's done it. I really do. But it's probably also, it's frustrating because of you've got to take it probably as a one-off. But in the context of the last few weeks, it's more frustrating because it's Liverpool losing another football match. And I don't like Liverpool losing football matches in any kind of sort of capacity. And that's probably the more frustrating. He has more credit in the bank, of course, if he wins a few games before that, and then he does that. If Liverpool go out and win the league games before it, and he goes out and throws that game against Palace, you can kind of go, all right, fair enough. We're kicking on here with 2 points behind Arsenal, whatever it is. And I get that. So that's where the frustrating part is. And again, I don't know what Joe Gomez learns. I don't know what Andy Robertson learns. I don't know what Endo learns. You can probably call it match fitness in effect. But I mean, if we kind of want to go with that, we can. The biggest there's a couple of takeaways I took from the game, really. Thought Chiesa played well again. Shows loads of heart, loads of endeavour. I didn't think he was amazing, but I thought he played well. And then I thought Chiesa was a bag of rags again. So that's and I don't want to keep digging these lads out because, again, he's going to need time. Chiesa is a kid, and I've been harsh on him and things like that. But the interesting thing was for me, I think he took Robertson off before Chiesa.
They both came out. Yeah, Robertson came off 70, but he picked up the yellow card, and he was playing through the center. I do believe, and we'll get to Villa. I don't want to jump. God knows.
Yeah, the reason I have mentioned it because I think it's important that does he now see Robertson as his number one for Villa? That's all.
I think he does. I absolutely, and we'll preview the Villa match later in the show, but we'll go to it here. I do think that there was an eye on the Villa match.
Yeah,
this lineup had everything to do with Villa, and the only player who is going to feature or the only player who's going to start
left backs,
is one of the two left backs, and they had to. He made it clear that he wasn't doing Dom versus Aston Villa, in my opinion, by not playing Bradley in this match.
Yeah.
Because I think Bradley goes in this match because he didn't play the 90 against Brentford.
If Frimpong's fit, Bradley might play.
Exactly. Yeah. And let's be fair. If we're going to credit one of the players, as I called him, it's Ramsey. I mean, the hologram, as I like to joke about, like we found out he was a real footballer. And for 40 minutes, he gave you a good performance. Yeah. For 20 minutes, he honestly looked like he might have been the most put together, competent right back we've seen play a 20-minute spell this year. Because the best 20 minutes we've seen is from a guy who runs around the midfield like a chicken with his head cut off. Against, by the way, we also forget all the times that Szoboszlai looked great at right back, and there were a couple short periods. He was basically playing it as an inverted six. So like let's be real here. He was like a deep midfielder that was just a little bit less deep than, or a little bit more defensive than he would have been. But for me, when I look at the injuries, and Matoush made a great comment, he said the decision for the squad was fine until the reasoning in the presser after. I did think the press conference after was worse than the press conference the next day. The press conference after made it talk about like it was a depth issue. I do think it was an injury issue he was talking about. He tried to clear that up today. And let's just, if we talk about it and we take away the emotion, right? If you recycle the clock to last year, one of the things that really worked was the whole side stayed fit. And you cannot manage that, and you can't guarantee that. We wanted to give him credit for it last year. It was just luck. It's as much luck at times as it is happen circumstance when you keep players fit because you're rotating players, but it's also that they're not getting injuries on international duty. Maybe they're not playing as meaningful games. We're in a World Cup qualifying year. Last year, a lot of these teams were resting some of their bigger players at the beginning of the year on the international breaks. But if Allison isn't injured, Mamadashvili's in goal and not Woodburn. If Frimpong is there, one of the two right backs is there. If Leone isn't hurt, you have Leone and Gomez, and then you either have Kirkez or Rabo. If Gravenberch is playing, you probably have Endo, and Jones isn't hurt. You might have Endo, Jones, and maybe it's Neone, so it's one kid, but he's around the fringes. And then you look at the front. You're talking about like it's Isak or Ekatike with Chiesa on the right and Rio. That's a much different team than playing Morrison, Neone, Calvin Ramsey, and Robertson at center back. I'm not making an excuse, but when you add up the number of injuries, let alone if Gahey had got across the line, which to me, it is looking more and more like not getting that deal across the line. And I don't know who we blame it on. I'm not putting it all on Palace. We could have done our business sooner. I've always said that. I've been steadfast. They wanted a deal they thought they could get, and they wanted it as cheap as possible, and they gambled. And when you gamble, sometimes you get burnt. Because in my world, if we need to go to a 5-3-2 to change things at times, or a 5-2-3 like we did in this match, or you wanted to play a 4-4-2 where you had to compete with bigger, stronger guys because you can't compete on headers, maybe there'd be some secret sauce right now is Gahey'd be your right back right now for a few matches and playing the way like even Arsenal plays. Like, because I genuinely think part of the problem is Leone's injury made it so the manager is deathly afraid to play Gomez because we're so short.
Okay.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, Cos, but I do think this feeds into the decisions that are being made. And I think the amount of matches coming up also had something to do with it. If you win that match, you draw Arsenal mid-December, another midweek match. If you advance, you have 2 more midweeks in January and February, and your Brighton match gets moved into May.
I know.
Which that's a lot for a threadbare team.
I get it, and I get.
I just don't like the attitude because he just doesn't use his mouth well enough to explain
and I get
not what he's doing, but what supporters need to hear. And I think that's his problem. I mean, I think Alan will say it. His biggest problem is that he's Dutch. And that is not hating on the Dutch. It's that I just feel like he's so damn direct. And at times, his directness, when you're winning, that directness is refreshing. When you're losing, we can't be arsed with it.
No, exactly. Listen, I understand his reasoning. Again, I get the scheduling aspect. It looks like it's free Liverpool up a little bit in terms of midweeks that they're going to get off and things like that. And I get that, Gal. It's a completely fair argument that the manager can have. I see the point of he's petrified to play Gomez. Well, you just played him in a nothing game that you're never going to win. If you're petrified to play him, what if he gets injured in that game? What do the fans say then?
No, I get it, but I guess somebody had to play. I think.
Yeah, of course.
And clearly it can't be Nallo because the kid's played 30 minutes for Liverpool and has 2 red cards.
Yeah, I mean,
and again, that's a failure to the kid, not to the club.
Of course, you play Kieran Morrison. So if you actually really wanted to do it, so he's got match fitness in Gomez now or whatever, some sort. We know Gomez not playing on the weekend now, especially. So I don't know, mate. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. Again, all this it should be taken in the same context of I'm finding it difficult to treat the Palace game as a one-off game because of what's happened previously. Because now you've lost 6 and 7, and that's the crux of this. Again, if he wins a few games before it, and then he throws it, you can all sit there and go, "Well, right, be back the manager. We completely understand what he's doing." Because we're on the back of so many poor performances overall, and then we have the Palace game, and then he does it. That's why it's just the timing of when he's done it, I suppose, which I'm more frustrated with. But listen, it is what it is. It's been taken. I'm going to try and take it as a one-off of what it is. And we can kind of concentrate on the other midweek. But again, I just don't see what the kids learn out of it, Gal. That's all.
Well, I actually think the biggest point you've made so far, and it's not just the kids. Let's be real. We didn't learn anything about anything. We know that Kirkes is struggling. You can see that. So I'm not going to bang on him, but he's also struggling playing, alongside trying to have his outball be Trey Neone, who can't hold the ball up and literally looks less physically fit to play in that match.
I don't want to dig the kids.
No, I don't want to dig the kids, but I also can't. McAllister looked a smidgen better, but I can't give McAllister anything because I can't judge the senior players when you're forced to play with that heavily of a rotated side of inexperienced kids.
In a different
you said
formation.
Chiesa. Yeah, and you said Chiesa.
Okay.
I thought he did great with his endeavor. I loved his heart. I love the fact that he was sticking up for Rio and ready to get in a fight. I love that. I forget who it is. Maybe it's Neoni at one point. Literally gives him one of the worst through balls. Like he's pointing to where the ball needs to go, and Neoni basically doesn't even get the ball off his foot. And Chiesa turns around and claps him off and gives him a thumbs up. Like, it's not a big deal, kid. It'll be okay. He's such a good professional, yet he shouldn't play through the middle because he's a wide player. He can play on the left or the right. And I would have been happy seeing him start on either of those flanks, to be honest, in this match. But you can't risk Ekitike at this moment because Isak isn't fit. He could have played Morrison down the middle. We both said it in the Discord. Really disappointing for Dan's not to be fit, because if Dan's is fit, he starts through the middle and Chiesa plays on the right. And then maybe Morrison comes in and gives you 20 in the second half, because he was bright for a few minutes, but he's 18. He's not physically ready to play against men. And Crystal Palace started men because Oliver Glasner is ready to be the United manager because he already hates fucking Liverpool.
I think there's a part of this, Gal, and that's a bigger conversation that we should have, I think, about football in general. So when you see these kids in like youth level under 23s, and he scored 40 goals for the under 23s and all this, the step up is massive. The step up is fucking ginormous. Even physically, Dak Morrison looks like I suppose I don't watch a lot of the under 23s. I see a bit of the highlights here and there now, but suppose he's a bright young kid, can find a goal, looks quality. The size difference is a joke. The absolute size difference is night and day. He looked like we have a big famous saying in the UK. He looked like the year 7s playing with the under 11s. Basically, he looks like the middle schools playing with the high schools. That's the difference in size. Like that, that's why we also need to calm down sometimes. Again, with Rio, you have to be such a special talent with the ball, because physically you can't
and
match.
that was on display as well, because he physically couldn't.
We need to calm down on some of these kids a little bit. You know what I mean?
I did joke with one of my buddies yesterday when we were, or maybe it was Wednesday after the match in the pub, and I was like, I love Rio. He's got such great skill sets. He is so miles away, and the truth is, he might be too close at this point, because the beginning of the year, he was inside, outside. He'd take guys outside. He'd run. Now he looks like he trains with Cody Gakpo all day long, and every time he gets the ball, he tries to get on his right peg. And that's not me digging out Gakpo. I'm trying to make a joke and be a little funny. But to be fair, in that 5-3-2, the hope was you'd see some width, and you got it out of Ramsey. You didn't once again get it out of Kirkhead. So we're not going to dig out the players. Like I said, I don't think we could take that much. For 30 minutes, they played hard and they did everything they could. At 35 minutes, I looked at my buddy and I said, these guys are literally begging for the halftime whistle right now. And if they get in down 1, we'll be lucky. And the next thing I know, it was 40 minutes and we were down 2. But isn't that what happens when you roll out 4 kids and a bunch of guys who haven't given you 35 to 40? They were all gassed because they don't have enough minutes in their legs. They weren't ready to give you the 60 minutes that a rotated side usually gives you to let you bring in your 30. And that's what made me understand not putting some senior players on that bench. Because I think if the manager looks at that senior bench, and Klopp used to say this, when they'd say, well, why didn't you at least add Jordan Henderson to the bench? Or why isn't Virgil on the bench? And he's like, because if Virgil's on the bench and the match is close, I'm going to want to use him.
I know.
And I think the manager protected himself and the players. And granted, they were sitting out in the fucking rain. And we're going to talk about that goddamn rain in a minute. But we were sitting out in the rain. But he didn't want to use them. And if you do put a guy, I think a misnomer is if a guy doesn't play, he didn't play today. But if you get a guy and you put him in your match day squad, they go through the pre-match warm-up where they have to be prepared in case something happens in the warm-up and they got to play. They go through the warm-up and get their body ready as if they're going to play. If they don't play, they do all the carbing and all the eating, right? And then they have to do the running after the match. So, and then at this age of Virgil and Mo, they probably have a down day on each side of that match for recovery.
Yeah.
And at a time where the manager is saying, I'm getting no time on the pitch, and I don't like it, talking only about defending set pieces and then conceding on the first set piece. If this allows him, and to your point, I think this screams Andy Robertson is starting on Saturday, because my one guy I'm not worried about dropping into this 11 without training with these guys and still knowing how to do his job and making other people around him better is Andy Robertson. So I do think what that means to me is Kirkez and McAllister dropped to the bench. They're the only two players that I saw play this weekend or play midweek that I think have a shot. Well, and Chiesa. Those two and Chiesa have a chance to appear against Villa off the bench. I'll tell you this right now. I would literally go to all three of them and say, your reward for playing against Palace and giving everything you did and helping those kids, you're all three starting against Real Madrid on Tuesday. Like, I would start Chiesa. I know he won't, but I would start Chiesa. I would start McAllister, and I would start Kirkez against Real Madrid. It's a home match, so if you're going to give Kirkez a run out there, it's against Madrid. You probably want his athletic ability. He won't do it because he won't start Chiesa. I'd start him on the left over Gakpo in that match, but I would tell him that's your reward for what you did for us, and I would go with Robertson. Obviously, Gravenberch, comes in for McAllister there, and we know who the front three is going to be at this point because he made it very clear in today's press conference that Isak is not fit and is still not training, which is nerve-wracking for me. And the manager has alluded, I gambled once so far this year. I played Isak too much. I think he's also kind of digging into the Ekitike red card started all of this because it forced Isak to start against Palace. And then that kind of snowballed the overuse. Again,
I think it's hard.
It's difficult because sports science calls so many of the shots.
I think it's, and you're right in that aspect. I wouldn't be starting Robertson this weekend. I would start Kirkez because I want Robertson versus Madrid. But I'm also at the stage where I just want me fucking leaders on the pitch and I want me vice captain on the pitch. I just feel like I'm at that stage of this, of like, just at least fucking show me some heart and show me some battle and don't fucking shake a tackle. And I can get on with the rest. Do you know what I mean? And I can kind of deal with it. But yeah, I think the manager's in such a difficult spot. And but he's also played this spot. He's also played this hand. Now, you knew this was coming up with Villa. I understand your reasoning by it. But Liverpool are conceding within 5 minutes every fucking week. Doesn't help anyone. Villa get a week off because Villa didn't play midweek. So
I think had something to do with making sure his best guys had the week off as well.
So I'm probably disagreeing with you in terms of the starting 11 for Villa, but we'll probably get to that. I just think in an overall sense of where Liverpool go from here, I think this week is pivotal. And I don't mean for the anyone's job, and I don't really want to go into it. Can't be asked. I feel like it's just, are you serious or not? Are you serious? Because if you're not serious, I'm fine. By the way, I've watched many unserious Liverpool teams in my whole lifetime, by the way. Right? I've watched many, many unserious football teams.
Well, I mean, Klopp had a couple of them even after we won things. You knew by mid-November that they were...
Gal, there was context.
It was going to take magic.
Gal, a lot of Klopp seasons when he had the off seasons, there was context behind a lot of them.
Of course.
So, for example, in the COVID year when he's playing fucking Nat Phillips and Ozan Kabak and Reece Williams centre half and Henderson and Fabinho doing bits of centre half, so we can all swallow that. So this thing of like, but Klopp lost 6 on the bounce. There's context behind everything, right? The other season for the 22-23 season when we finished 5th, we had basically the midfield's legs completely fell off all at the same time. Fabinho, Henderson, and probably, I can't even remember at the time, but anyway, the whole midfield's legs completely fell off at the same time. So there's context. The manager I spent 450 million quid. So it's hard for me to feel sorry for him. There's also a part of this where he mentioned the squad depth issue. He made the decision or at least him and a few other lads made a decision to sell some of the players in the summer, which he could have kept around in them bits for him, like a Jarrell Kwanzaa, like a Harvey Elliott, like a Tyler Morton. I think James McConnell's on loan at Ajax, who we quite liked and kept him around, but he's let him go now. So he made those decisions. And whether we agree that they're right or wrong is not the conversation. But the conversation is, if you've made those decisions, you've got to stand on them. But you could have said to these lads, "Hey lads, in 5 months, you know what? I don't really want to overplay Isaac. I want to get these lads trained up, really used to the system. Harvey, can you just do me 5 months, and I'll get you gone in January if you don't play enough football." By the way, I think Elliot would have played a lot of football for Liverpool in the last 6 weeks. I think he would have played a lot of football, more than we like to think. I think Kwanzaa would have played a lot of football, or at least Gomez would have played a lot of football, and Kwanzaa would have been there. Do you know what I mean? I think that would have happened as well. There's definitely an argument around the midfielders with the legs falling off, i.e. McAllister's legs have kind of fell off and always, getting on his way back. Jones getting injured. Szoboszlai doing bits at right back. I think you probably would have seen a James McConnell who we would have liked, at least in the FA Cup, the League Cup third round, and a couple of other dog minutes in some games. I think you would have seen him. But that's on the manager. So you've made that decision now. You made it. I.e. with the other lads, you guys made this, the group of 4 or 5 years have made this decision. You need to live with it. And
I do agree with that, but I don't think they wanted 26 players. They didn't want a 26 player setup. And if you keep those 5 players, you have 22, 23 senior players.
And it's a fair point. And
it might be then you buy a few less. Maybe that's the real answer is did you need to buy Leone if you had Kwanzaa?
No, you did. Yeah, exactly. But you did.
They didn't like the guys they had, and that's the problem. And the guys they brought haven't bedded in quick enough. Period.
And I've got no issue with that, though. But there's also a part where you're only keeping them for 5 months. It's not like you've got to keep them for the whole season.
I was someone who wanted to keep.
One second. Yeah. 1 sec. You can't go to Elliot. You stick them around for 20 weeks at your loyal club. You stick them around because we need you for these certain amount of games. You can't say, of course you can. But also, I don't want to hear you come out in a press conference and kind of say, well, we've got these injuries and that. Well, we know Konate loves a knock. We know Curtis Jones loves a knock. I know Konate's fit, by the way, but we know Curtis Jones loves a knock, don't we? We know you didn't really fancy Chiesa last year. You didn't buy a left winger to replace Diaz. That's on you. That's on the club. You didn't buy a left winger. We were all happy with Diaz leaving, by the way. I love this conversation as well because the other fans mentioned this. We were all happy with Diaz leaving. Whatever.
It was great business. I'm sorry. You just had to get a replacement. Period.
This is the point.
Or use Chiesa. You have a replacement, you won't use them. But again, don't tell me you don't have things.
Don't tell me that.
It's the person who,
you sold Diaz. That's on you. And then you got to sit there and go, I've got to play Gakpo every week. I've got to play Rio. Well, it was on fucking you. You made that decision in the summer by not signing a replacement. That's on you. And me and you have just sat there, literally 7 minutes, 8 minutes ago, said, Rio looks like he's 3-4 years away. Let's be frank. And physically, at least. Ability on the ball, he's brilliant.
He's got moments. He's not ready. And you know what, for me, what solidified it even more wasn't the performance against Palace, because there were times he was bright. And if you were rating players on the pitch, he'd be one of the ones towards the top because, well, he's actually one of the most senior players on the pitch at 17, which is disgusting. But the bigger issue for me was the mad substitution against Brentford, because that's a match the kid should never see the light. He shouldn't even be, and understandably, before the injuries, he wasn't even on the bench for a few, right? He missed a few. And he shouldn't have been on the bench. There's no reason to have that kid on the bench. I would have rathered a third keeper on the bench rather than Rio against Brentford, because there was no reason to bring him on against a bunch of huge,
But this is the thing, though. Gally's not ready. Chiesa, he doesn't trust him because he doesn't start serious football matches.
No, so until he gets a start in a real match that matters, a league or a Champions League match that has, he's not a considered option. He's just a break glass.
This is the point. But you made those decisions, Gal, in the summer. I completely, by the way, I feel so sorry for the club what happened with Jota. Of course we do.
Well, that is a hard one. I was going to ask you, like, the manager has done a better job than the players of not talking about it, but even he brings it up because I think media folks bring it up too, because they know you can get a rise. Because I think that's the other thing. He's learning quickly. Last year was literally a procession from the first week on, because he did well to start and people gave him so much credit up front. And then they lost the Forest match and he couldn't stop talking about it. And then they went on another winning run. And let's be real and frank, he did a good job mitigating a team, and he balanced and he won a league, but he won a league a lot of ways because the two next best teams took huge steps back, and he took a small step forward with a side and organized them in a year. That was odd, right? Like, it was an odd year in the Premier League last year. Arsenal dropped a bunch of games that they shouldn't have, dropped a bunch of points around the Christmas period, let us get a lead, and we kind of ran with it. And my fear is I don't think Arsenal's that good. I think they're much better than they were last year. I think they did exactly what you wanted us to do. They bought well and didn't sell their players. Yeah, they bought well and they kept Nweri and they brought up.
Why can't we sign anything? Why can't we? Why can't we go? We're doing Diaz for 80 odd million. Go sign it. I think it was like 50 or 60 million. Why can't we?
I would have signed. The one that upsets me the most is not getting Mohamed Kudus and letting him leave West Ham. Guy could have played right, center, and left. He could be your long-term most solid replacement. And to be fair, he's not just a winger. He can play in a midfield four. Kudus could play with two strikers up top in a new formation.
There's also no excuse for Liverpool to be playing how bad they are. We all feel sorry what's going on with Jota. Of course, we feel sick inside. It's this awful situation, and it is hard on
the players.
And no one's arguing that point. No one's arguing that point. But it also doesn't help the fact that you're playing Gravenberch centre half and Szoboszlai right back away at Stamford Bridge for half an hour when you have a defender in Gomez and Frimpong on the bench. That doesn't help the fact. It doesn't help the fact you made a sub against Brentford by bringing Gomez on for Wirtz. By the way, I've got no issue with the sub. I have an issue with the sub before it, when he just puts Szoboszlai right back and then goes to Szoboszlai. Actually, can you just go back and centre mid 10 minutes later? That's a manager to me who's losing his effing mind. Oh, you just make that sub then. Just keep Szoboszlai centre mid. Szoboszlai was our best player. I'm not the biggest Szoboszlai fan in the world, but he's been unbelievable this season. He's been brilliant, right? And I hold my hands up. He's been fantastic. You can make that decision. That's a manager to me who's struggling in terms of in-game management at the moment, and that's what we complimented them on so much last season, Gal. Like, you could have just went, you know what, actually, I'm just going to do a right back, and keep Szoboszlai centre mid against Brentford. Instead, you fucking completely ruined Szoboszlai by putting him right back, and then going Szoboszlai, actually, can you just go back centre mid for us for 10 minutes while Liverpool are chasing the game 3-1? What? What are you doing? What are you doing? So it's not like, as much as the Jota thing, we can all, I'm not arguing with the players' mentality and whatever, but fuck me, make it easier on them. You don't need to go to Szoboszlai. Can you go and play right back at the Bridge for half an hour alongside Gravenberch centre half? You make that decision. You did. You make that decision against Brentford to make those subs. That's on you. That's yeah, but that wasn't like, I'm not using the Jota thing as an excuse. But you can make it easier. That's all I'm saying, Gal. Liverpool go out, Gal. He makes good tactical changes that we kind of see what he's doing. Liverpool lose footy matches and Liverpool have 25 shots. I don't give a fuck. I've watched worse Liverpool teams than this. Trust me. I've seen worse substitutions. But no one's been dealt the hand that you've been dealt in terms of a squad. No one. So go out there, make good tactical decisions, get players playing in the positions that they're meant to play, and look like a half-decent football team. If Liverpool go out there against Villa and have 25 shots, mate, have 15 on target, Martinez is man of the match and lose 1-0, I can swallow that. Okay. Because it's the best performance I've seen you fucking playing since Spurs last year. That's not happening at the moment, though, is it? Liverpool don't look like they can score a goal again. We don't look like we can create a goal. And this is my point of all of this. So as much as the lads are grieving and as much as the lads are going through a really, really tough situation, and I couldn't fathom the situation that they're going through, it must be absolutely awful. Fuck me, make it easier on them.
So before we transition, I got to ask you, because you grew up over there and, we watch these matches and it's funny. Sometimes I think because the TVs are so damn good now, you can't actually see the weather that's happening until they cut in, but you could see it the entire time. I don't know what podcast, if it was the Anfield Rap or something I was listening to, one of the guys made a joke that Kai Gordon is clearly like the king of Neptune, because I've never seen when he walked up to the touchline to sub in. He said he'd never seen the sky. Like, that was the most rain. He's like, I've lived in Liverpool for 42 years. I don't know I've ever experienced wind and weather. And he mentioned where he sits. He's like, I sit in a part of the stadium every match and you don't get wet. And he's like, and I was soaked because it didn't matter where the roof was. You could have been hanging on the roof and the wind was blowing it up to you. Like, it was just one of those crazy nights. At any moment watching that, did you think to yourself, fuck me, they might have to abandon this match because the pitch might get waterlogged? Like,
the worst thing that could have happened. It might be the worst thing that happened.
That you want to talk about fucking, you try to throw it and then they drop it in some place where you have no excuse, or your team's fully fit. But other than that rain was intense. Do you recall the wettest or the worst weather you ever sat through a football match? Like, I know you have a great, like, almost, for those of you newer to the show, Cozzy has almost like a encyclopedia type memory of old football matches. Like, he can tell you the ones he was in the ground, who scored the goals, or he can tell you the ugly jersey they were wearing and what pub he was at when he was watching it with his mates. So like when you were traveling in the Woy days that nobody wants to remember, but some feel like we're going back to.
I remember the game under Roy, and I remember him. Oh, fucking hell. It's going to kill me. I'm trying to blank some of these games out. Joe Cole, I think it was at the Bolton game around New Year's Eve when Joe Cole scored the last minute winner.
That's the last minute. That was the last minute winner where Joe Cole scores against Bolton.
I can't fully remember. I think we lost the Wolves at home. I think that was one of the worst. I think the weather was bad then as well. It's you have some weird games where, like, the weather is an effect, of course, and it is a huge, momentum shifter. In effect, it can change the thought process going into games and how people play, at least. But yeah, man, that was bad. On my, that was really, really bad.
For anyone listening, this was not a that was not in an effort to make an excuse for anything about Wednesday. It was honestly a way to kill 3 minutes and not talk any longer about the Palace match, other than making a joke about the weather. But I will say, when you're seeing all those people leave, I give real credit to the people who are still in the grounds at 90 minutes in that match, clapping off the boys, cheering on those kids. There's no possible way I would do it. Maybe you call me a tourist, call me an American fraud. And I do know that those League Cup matches are often matches that season ticket holders rotate their tickets, share them with friends.
The game just came back to me. I've just Googled the game. It came back to me. It was no Phantom at home in the Cup, and we lost an extra time and pens, I think. It got to extra time and pens, Gal, and it was pissing down. I remember the game. I've just Googled it as well. I was like, I remember this game. He was wearing a suit for Northampton, and he didn't have a coat on. Roy, he didn't have a coat on. You know what, mate? Right? I can't I don't want to share my screen, Gal, but I will send it to you to see if you can kind of like, and I'll share the image to you.
That's funny.
But yeah, mate. Honestly, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Yeah, with Northampton.
That's hilarious.
But,
So we've done a bit here, obviously, talked a bit about where the state is of the side. We talked about the injuries, obviously. It looks like Gravenberch, and when the manager says he trained yesterday, he's scheduled to train today, we'll find out if he can start. To me, that makes me know he's at least included in the match day squad.
Yes.
And when the manager says if he can start, he plans. Gravenberch is starting this match, in my opinion. So let's start there in the midfield. Is it pick itself with the health of the players at this point? Is it just have to be Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz?
Yes, I think. Yeah, I'm worried. I think.
And McAllister doing 60 minutes also is like, it's not like he played 30 at the end of the match. He did 60 in that weather, and with where his fitness is, I can't see him giving him a start. Plus, I feel like you can probably get 30 good minutes out of McAllister in the second half.
We are one injury away from doing Joe Gomez right back for Madrid. And that's the one thing that's scaring me. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I feel like if he does a diddle, is the diddle Szoboszlai right back, Gravenberch, McAllister for an hour at least, and Wirtz, and then on the hour mark, you put Szoboszlai back in midfield and play Bradley for half an hour. I'm just like, I don't listen. I like Bradley and things like that. I don't think he's at the level to be a Liverpool right back for 10 years, but that's just my opinion. But he has an injury record, of course, and we don't have a right back versus Madrid. And that's me other issue with this. He has to pick Madrid and then Villa. And I keep saying this all the time. What's his one for Villa, and then let's work backwards. Sorry, for Madrid, and let's work.
So let's start there. Let's start with if it was Cozzy. For me, I think right back against Madrid will be Bradley. I think it will be Bradley. I think it's Bradley. I think it's Bradley, Konate. I think Bradley, Konate, Virgil, Kirkez is your starting back four against Real Madrid.
I wouldn't.
You'd go Robertson.
I'd have Robertson just because I want me leading on the pitch.
Yep.
So, okay. So you want Bradley right back? Are you doing Bradley v Villa? right back.
I think I am. I think that's why he sat. And I don't love it. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a better chance, and I don't like this, by the way. I think there's a better chance Szoboszlai goes right back against City than he does right back against
I can see that.
Against Villa. And the Villa thing is Villa plays with that weird kind of compact, how the midfielders make the runs. Kamara's been really, really good. Onana, yeah. And we know what Rodgers is, whether he's wide or not. He comes inside. John McGinn, I almost feel like Robertson makes sense to start that match, because if you need Kirkez's athletic ability, it's the end of the match when you have like Daniel Malin coming in and the wide players they have, if they're bringing in like the Sanchos, and they offer width, it seems like, more when they make substitutions. Yeah. And I could see Kirkez, and I also think, and I don't know where, I'll be totally honest, I've been a bit disenfranchised with the whole game of footy, because every time I go anywhere to look at footy news, I have to listen to people slate Liverpool, and I'm fine with that, because God knows I complain, but the toxicity that happens sometimes on social media and the way they attack players and people, I don't love. So I'm not even paying attention to a lot of the other European leagues. So I don't even know if Trent's back yet, if he's playing.
He got on the bench. He didn't get on v Barca in the last game.
So I have a feeling, in a lot of ways, if Trent is playing that match, I kind of want Kirkez, only because I just want him to kick him for 90 minutes.
I want Robertson to play. I want to see Trent.
It would be fun. And I think we'll get it in the second half no matter what. But I could see them worrying about the athleticism of that Madrid side, the midfielders and the wingers, compared to what they're going to get in the industry of an Unai Emery setup. And let's be real, Villa is on a bit of a winning way, but they haven't been playing well. Really haven't been playing well.
I think they've lost 1-7, haven't they?
Yeah, they turned their season around, but they're not like us, though. Like when we won 5 on the bounce to start the season, and people are like, yeah, but I just want one good performance. Can I just have one good performance? They've won a few, and their supporters are also complaining.
Yeah.
Before we talk the rest of the lineup, if assuming Isak is unfit for Saturday, I would have to assume, like me, you expect Gakpo, Katike, and Mo. Would you start something different if Isak was fully fit?
Yeah, I'd have Katike and Isak up front. I just think Liverpool at the stage where you just got to win games 4-2. And whether we like that or not,
is Mo starting if you're starting those two?
No. Well, I'd have a 4-4-2 though. I wouldn't mind playing Mo right wing, but also that means there's no Wirtz, and I think Wirtz has been our best player in a weird way in the last couple of games. So I thought he was actually really good when he got to do his thing against Brentford, when he was on the ball. He should score. Has to score.
Oh, he has to score. And it's great technique, and you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to hit the inside of the post, and he just misses it.
But sometimes you just need to smack that ball really hard instead of placing it. Just smack it really hard at the goal. That's what fucking teams do to us all the time. Just smack it really hard at the goal and see what happens.
Because sometimes it bounces off the defender and goes to your winger. And we saw it, right? The ball that bounced off Gakpo's ass early in the year, and he scores the goal. You're like, how does that happen? Well, Mo Salah just took a shot, and the keeper paired it out, and the left wing just happened to be standing there.
Exactly, yeah. So again, I think so. I don't think, I mean, if Isak was fit, but again, you got to pick what's your team for Madrid. So are you rolling the front three out for the next 3 games, or is Isak going to be fit for one of them? We don't know that question yet, of course. Let's just assume that Isak isn't ready for Tuesday because he hasn't.
Well, that's why I feel like you have to. I don't think the manager has a choice, because if you're going to stand there and see, this is, I think, to your point about the decision gets judged on the results that follow. So you make that decision to do what you did Wednesday.
Yep.
You need to win 2. At a minimum, you need to win 2 and draw 1 of these 3 matches. And honestly, the only one you can, I'm going to change the caveat to that. You need to beat Villa and you need to beat Madrid. And I'll give you a draw away to City, because I'll give you that, because the PSG comparisons are there from a concept standpoint, from the fact that they started last year poorly. It didn't look like their new signings. It didn't look like things were gelling with the way he was trying to go about it. They lost Mbappe. They had to change the way they played, and they caught fire in January. By February, they were great. And by May, they were the best team in Europe, and they were rightfully crowned Champions League winners. And I know people say, well, I mean, if PSG could do it, maybe we don't win the league, but we can go on this run. And could we go on a long run? Well, I'll tell you the only way that happens. You can't, and let's be real, you can't basically bow out of the League Cup to save you a week in January and a week in February, and then drop points you need to win to guarantee you 2 tougher matches in February in the knockout round of the Champions League. Yep. The only way Liverpool is winning that Champions League or even making a quarterfinal, semifinal run is if they're in the top 8. And the only way you're getting in the top 8 is you need to win all of your home games the rest of the way, because you got to go to Marseille and you got to go to Inter. And those are not easy places to go.
Karabakh at home.
You got Karabakh at home, and you have PSV. These are matches, but we all said, right, 13 to 16 points to guarantee a top 8. That loss at Galatasaray is a massive. When you lose your pot 4 match, even if it's on the road, you have to secure those points. So before we start thinking about a run in the Champions League, and that wasn't what this comment was about. It was more about why I think Madrid is so important.
Yeah, massive. It's massive.
And I think this side has looked better so far this year.
Yeah.
If you add up the quantitative approach, the 3 European matchups between Frankfurt, Atletico Madrid, and to a lesser extent the Galatasaray match, but dodgy penalty, Ekitike should score when he's in on goal.
That can happen away from home. That can, and I've got no issue with the Galatasaray in the effect of on its own as a concept of a thing. That can happen in any away game against the European side who are playing. By the way, with loads of Premier League players who've played in the Premier League before with loads of physicality and things like that, I can swallow that. I think you need 16 points to be in the top 8.
That's
so
what I was saying.
You've got to get 15 to 16 points. So you've lost 3 out to Galatasaray, no problem.
So you need 10 more.
Exactly that. Go and get 10 more somehow. I would like to think Liverpool should be Karabakh at home. So there's an argument you need 7 from the others to guarantee the top 8.
And to be honest, PSV is not a PSV team.
They've had a good window, haven't they? They look all right.
They've had a couple, but they're still rotten. I mean, they're still trotting out players that.
Yeah, I expect Liverpool to win their own games. No one's
you got to win those matches.
Who Liverpool playing at home? Anyone can rock it. I want Liverpool.
But to get those 4 points from the other 3 matches,
of course,
you basically you can't. Because to me, you don't go to Inter Milan expecting to win. You may win, but Liverpool's record on the road in Italy is not good. Liverpool's record against teams that set up the way Inter Milan set up isn't great. And by the way, Inter Milan, they park the bus, but they counterattack with the best counterattacking players in the world. So the Marseille match to me is a weird one because
it's a weird one. I know.
It's literally like going to Millwall in France in some ways.
There's loads of weird ones with Marseille. I can't really get my head around them. But again, I just think with the Champions League is a bigger picture, mate. Again, I think Liverpool will get in the top 8. Funny enough, I think Liverpool will have enough to beat Marseille. I think Liverpool could beat Real Madrid because anything can happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when the crowd get up for it. By the way you get the crowd up for it is by beating Villa. Right? So... You know what I mean?
I honestly think the biggest Villa right now, and when you've lost 6 out of 7,
they'll be licking the lips.
The next match is always the biggest.
Of course. Yeah.
I do think they're licking their lips. I do think, though, in some ways, they are a type of team that this team can get at this moment because the way they defend, the way Emery sits back, but also does some attacking. I think they have athletic players in the midfield, but Onana's been up and down at times. It doesn't look like the Onana of early last season where he was lights out and you were like, man, Everton had a player that they let get away.
Yeah. Matty Cash is playing well.
Matty Cash playing really well. And,
Matty Cash.
And it's Luka Dean. We know what Luka Dean is. He gets under your skin, but he also creates a goal out of nowhere every once in a while.
Kamara sentiment as well.
The Kamara's been good. Ollie Watkins has looked a bit of a shell of himself. I think that's why we've seen more of Daniel Marshall. And Rodgers looks a player who wanted a move in the summer and didn't get it because he kind of looks like he's pouting a bit.
I'm at the stage, though, Gal, right, with Liverpool and this week. We all say it's pivotal, and I agree with Villa. And I probably do agree slightly that Villa is probably a good team to play at home. I hate the time of the game. Hate it.
No. Well, first of all, there's nothing worse. Can the league just get away from this? Like the one saving grace I had about Liverpool ruining weekends. So I really got into this right around the time I met my wife. It was 15 years ago or so, where my weekends, my schedule, and my mood was determined by results. Well, these were the Brendan Rodgers beginning days. So they were, like we got to 13, 14, and she was like, wait, I get a happy boyfriend every once in a while. Like this Luis Suarez guy scores and this kid's whole entire weekend is made. And then she realized when Klopp came in, like the best thing is they win games and he's in a good mood and we go do fun stuff. But more importantly, all the games end by like 1 p.m. every single weekend. And now I'm like, oh yeah, because we haven't set the clocks back yet. The match is 4 p.m.
It's 1 p.m.
Eastern. I mean, 4 p.m. Like, could you imagine being over in England and waiting till 7 p.m. on a Saturday night? Like, do you know how much angst and anxiety those supporters are going to have when the first whistle goes off? Well, the sober ones.
Especially if Arsenal beat Burnley.
And you're 10 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, I agree. I don't hate the kickoff time. I completely agree. You know what I mean? I'm at the stage though, Gal, where there's no more excuses now. I don't care about your injuries. I don't care about what's ever happening in terms of formation and shape. Of course, I will give you all the sympathy in the world what's going on with Jota and what the lads are going through. Of course, it's a disgrace. It's a disgraceful fucking mood and all that. I get it. But eventually, you need to win a footy match. You just need to win a football match. And if Liverpool are going to finish fourth this season, whatever happens, happens. If Liverpool are going to have a run in the Champions League, I don't think Liverpool could win the Champions League unless they sign a centre half. If they do that on January the 1st and go and sign Mark Gay, Liverpool might have a chance to win the Champions League. They can do that, by the way. They can do that, Liverpool.
That's all I want, though. I'm going to be honest. I know there's rumors about Semenyo. There's rumors about all these other players. I feel like I would love more players, but at this point,
I'll ask you a question.
Get me the center back I need to fill out this roster. Get the guys that are here fit. Figure out a way to use this squad between now and the summer. I mean, if you signed a Semenyo, and I know that's what we did with Diaz, right? We bought him the window before we needed him, and then we pushed Mane into the center the second half of the year. So maybe you buy Semenyo and you push Mo Salah. I hate saying it, but you either push Mo Salah more centrally or to the bench even, and you almost die your cast. You cast your die that he probably leaves in the summer. But to me, I don't think Semenyo would come here in January. It would be a terrible move.
It's not about if he comes. It's about what do you do? Can Liverpool afford to miss out on the top four?
They absolutely can't. They can't.
So Liverpool might dip into the market. We don't know what's going to. We don't know. By the way, we don't know what Liverpool are going to look like in January. Liverpool might win the next 3 games on the bounce. Everything's hunky dory. We're back in it, and all this.
December is a very lighter run of fixtures, and then you get into the AFCON period. If you navigate that and get to Arsenal, you're within 5-6 points, and you're still in the top 4. You don't need to do a lot. You still need Gahey, no matter what.
Of course, I still agree that Liverpool will need a centre half hooker by Krug. I think the argument is here, though, Gal. Liverpool cannot afford it. So Liverpool might take a punt on a Semenyo and go, you know what? If he's going to be the one, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and Arne Slot are sitting there going, fucking hell, could really do with a little Gakpo rotation, because we've seen 25 games of Gakpo and he scored 6. We could really do with a big Gakpo rotation. And that, we could do with a lightning pace up front on the wings, which we don't have.
And he can play all 3 positions. He makes a lot of sense.
So they might do that in terms of Liverpool can't afford to miss out on top 4. If Liverpool are in the top 4 race, I don't see Liverpool going outside and go forward. I think if Liverpool, I don't see that. I still see Liverpool could go out and sign a centre half based on the Gomez and Canate arguments. If Leone was fit, I don't see it. But
if Frimpong doesn't show a propensity by January to shake this hamstring injury, you might be able to argue that they need a right back as well.
Well, the argument is though they might do Gay and then just go Joe Gomez as second choice right back.
That's a good shout, and that would make us happy. And I think a lot of us thought that might be the case when they had signed Leone and they were trying to sign Gahey.
Well, Gomez, what if Leone's fully fit? If Liverpool do Gay and Leone's fully fit, Joe Gomez is your 3rd choice right back, he's your 3rd choice left back, and he's your 5th choice centre half. That's what Joe Gomez in the squad. He plays across the back 4 for you in any position that we need him to. That's what Gomez then becomes. But with Leone injury and Gay not coming in, that's where the conversation changes. And then Gomez is just a centre half because we can't afford to risk him right back or left back at the point. There's a point before, not last season, the season before, Gomez plays in 50 odd games. So there's an argument there that Gomez is like, well, I was fucking fully fit, I was ready because I played in 50 odd games 2 years ago. So, but anyway, we're digressing here a little bit. I think we're at the stage, Liverpool just got to win some footy matches. It doesn't matter how you win. Everyone goes, I want a perforance. Liverpool to win a game.
Performance. I don't need a performance.
I want to win games.
3 points. Give me 3 points. I will take a 90th minute, 95th minute own goal. I'll take a keeper throwing it in its own goal. I really don't give two shits. I want two things. I'll say it again because we got it the other day. And I joked that, if they got to 30 minutes on a clean sheet, I would celebrate like I scored in front of the cop. Give it to me in a meaningful football match. Give me 20 minutes of solid formation and defending as a team. Get me to 0-0. I mean, I'd love an early goal, don't get me wrong, but don't concede on the first, set piece of the match. Use your head. There was that moment against Brentford where literally Szoboszlai runs 85 yards on the pitch.
Yeah.
He just sprints to it and saves a corner. And I understand. I get it. Like, it's in their minds. Don't give up a corner. But to save that corner, he gave up a throw-in.
I know.
And they were more deadly on the throw-ins. Let the ball go out for a corner.
The man with that really one killed me when he just slides the ball out to play. He was so happy letting the ball go for a throw-in in the 5th minute. And I was just
like, but like my brain is, and I saw it the other day. I commended Woodman. This is how bad it's getting. I'm giving credit in the pub to the third string keeper for booting the ball out of bounds. 60. You got me now? Am I back? Oh, yeah. I said I was commending the third choice keeper for kicking the ball out of bounds for a throw 60 yards up the pitch instead of 15 yards up the pitch. Like, this is where I'm at. But the game is changing. We're going to have to adapt to it. We're going to have to figure out how to defend it better. But one nice thing is, and it may change because God knows everyone's targeted us, but the two teams in the side, the only two teams who are using the long throw less than Liverpool so far this season, Aston Villa and Manchester City. So we know City's not going to do it. It's not, I mean, I don't know that they have a lad big enough to get a long throw in. We don't even have guys that know how to throw the ball in. I'm still waiting for a referee to explain to me how any of these throws that I've seen over the last month aren't illegal throw-ins, because I don't think we have legal throw-ins. Like, at one point, and I know we dug him out earlier, but it is a funny way to end it. At one point, I don't know if you saw it, Chiesa was actually showing Kirkez how to throw the ball in. Like, he was like, no, here. Like, and then he pointed to his feet. Like, this is what it's gotten to. And that to me just shows it's a mental thing. I don't think it's just Kirkez, by the way. He's the easiest to dig out. Some is because his errors have been mental. A lot is because he looks mental. He's just got a crazy cut to his jib, right? Like, everything about the kid is nutty.
Conversation is, Gal, right? There's too much Kirkez in Liverpool games.
No, he's 20. He's 21 years old.
He's a kid. I get it.
He should have come in. People forget that. Like, when we talk about this, like, oh, this guy, there were two of those youth players that are older than Kirkez.
Let me have a
that's on the manager. That's on the manager for the approach for how he bedded him in. I agree with this.
So Robertson Robertson could have been getting more minutes. Like, there's been too much Kirkez in my football. I don't
should have been 50-50 at most.
Mate, so that's on the manager.
No,
this is on the manager. And this is the point I'm having. Again, there's just been too much left back in my football that I want to see. There's far too much left back. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to see me left back taking loads of touches of the ball. I've had enough of it. Right? I want to see me boss creative players take loads of touches of the ball. Because that means Liverpool. And this is the thing, right, Gal? And I want to mention this, right? Forget about wanting the manager sacked and all this, right? I want Arne Slot to be more successful than Bob Paisley. I want to have a fucking grounding after Arne Slot, because that means Liverpool win loads of fucking trophies. And that makes me very happy when Liverpool win footy matches and win trophies. I don't care who's in charge. I genuinely don't care. So eventually, though, you need to win footy matches. And that's the fucking point that we can finish probably on here, right? We can get to the Villa game and we're going to finish.
It starts tomorrow.
You have to start tomorrow. You've swallowed Palace. We'll all swallow Palace if you go out and win 3-0 against Villa. And you go, Liverpool look like a football team again. My God, that's the first time we look like a football team against Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Let's do that first. Let's make small baby steps and win a fucking football match. And then you know what we do against Real Madrid? You win another football match. And then you win another football match. And then you continue to win footy matches. You just said there you take 7 points. I'll snap your hand off for 7. But I agree. It has to be the first 2. Have to be wins.
They have to be.
I'll take it against City. But I'm not having you draw Villa, beat Real Madrid and beat City. Because I just feel like I'm just like, my head's going to be kettled again for a few more days because you haven't beat Villa. So let's start tomorrow. Let's win your footy matches. Win your battles. Win your fights. Look like you want to be in a footy match. You look like you're surprised to be in a footy match for the first half an hour sometimes in games. You look surprised that you're there. Oh, this is what we're meant to be doing, kicking the ball about a bit. No. From the first whistle, you go. You first whistle, you win a battle. You win your fight.
What's your prediction for tomorrow? Give me a score.
Fuck me. I don't know, Gal.
I know.
Genuinely, I don't know. Probably 2-2. But because I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting. And again, this is hard for the manager because you don't know what you're getting week in, week out. So I'll say 2-2 Liverpool in a joke.
I think they're going to win.
It feels like a win, by the way. That was the joke. But go on.
Yeah, I know. I think they will win this match. I don't know the exact score. And I'll say 2-1, but it's not pretty. And it's not like a 2-0 that we concede one. It's probably one. You know what? I'll tell you this. Liverpool don't win this match if they don't score first. Because they need that crowd with them the whole match. And I think they concede one in the first half tomorrow and go down 1-0, or even concede a second half goal. There's 2 things I want tomorrow. I want a goal. I want to score the first goal.
I want to score a goal.
No, I want to score the first goal.
Okay.
And I don't want a fucking halftime substitution.
Yeah.
I want him to put out a side he trusts that can play 60, 70 minutes. And then I want to see 2 or 3 smart alterations to his first 11 with an eye on what is most important for Madrid. I want Gravenberch to play and get a break. You know what I mean? I want, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I'm looking
for the 0-0 at halftime.
That would be, I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine.
0-0 and not be afraid of it. Not be worrying that you have to switch it up. Exactly. But that also means no early yellow cards. I want to see I want to see a professional performance. I don't need an epic performance. Same. I want to see a professional performance that looks like you made a decision midweek to get 10 guys together and train a bunch this week. And I want to see that actually manifest on the pitch.
I want to see that.
And if that happens, I'll say
I want to see if you've learned lessons, Gal. Like, for example, not playing into the opposition's hands consistently, not giving the ball to Matty Cash so we can run at your left back consistently. I want to see Liverpool kind of play a little bit long for 10 minutes just to kind of kill the crowd. If Unai Emery's going to try and play long, I want Liverpool to kick the ball back long in a weird way and go, if you want to play this tennis match for 15 minutes, we're not conceding early. No goals first 20, lads. And I want to see that. I want to see that fight, that proud to keep a clean sheet, and that like to go, no, lads, you know what I mean? Kanata, you're staying here. Kirkers, you're staying here. You're staying here. We are not conceding in the first 20 minutes here, lads. And look like there's a bit of organisation to it. Look like there's some leadership. That's what I want, is leaders on the pitch against Villa. But whether we get it or not, fellas, another conversation.
Whole nother. So Rodrigo says, I want to say we're going to win 2-1, but if we don't win and play better, then Slot should be sacked.
He shouldn't be sacked. He deserves time. Right, and by the way, I say things in the moment all the time. He deserves time, right? But there's also a part of this, Gal, and I understand that argument, what people are saying.
No, I wanted to bring it up on screen because we always say get your opinions in. We'll bring them up whether we agree or disagree. Yeah. And neither of us think now is the time to sack him. Neither of us think that it's.
Ask me next week if we lose 3 on the bounce.
Well, I mean, then we're going into an international break and it's a whole nother kettle of fish.
But I've got 2 weeks.
The good news is they're going to play 2 matches between now and next Friday when Cozzy and I do this whole thing all over again. So you're going to find out, is it a reckless Friday or is it a wrecking ball Friday, or are we partying like rock stars? Me and Cozzy saying 6 points, 2 from 2, and we're going into this city match.
Oh. Yeah,
like it's like the tone next week will be determined by the number of points Liverpool accumulate between now and Tuesday night. So
If Rodrigo
for
wants to come
anyone
in next Friday, when I'm calling for the manager's head if we lose to on the bounce.
yes.
So
or if Gally's calling him the manager of the year, saying the league title's back on because we got 6 out of 6 and we're going to City.
Arsenal draw against Burnley, Liverpool win. I'm going, oh my god, this is wrapped up in March.
That is absolutely the life of a Liverpool supporter. And for those new to this club, as in rolled in the last like year or two, right? And there are a lot of them, right? I didn't understand this. I don't know what it's like. This is what it's actually like and has been like at times over the last 30 years to be a Liverpool supporter. There are ups and there are downs. You are allowed to complain. You are allowed to get angry. But let's do one thing. Don't get toxic. The players don't deserve that part of it. You can be toxic at the final whistle. If I was in that rain, I would have been calling them effing cunts and jerks and every name under the sun if I was soaking wet in the Glenbook or whatever pub I went to right after the match, right? I'd be just like everybody else ranting and raving. But calmer heads prevail. Take the toxicity out of it, but don't lose the passion. Up the Reds, and God damn it, just get 3 points.